Um, Welcome everyone to Midweek Matters. This evening it's our great pleasure to have Ross Smith from the Motability Foundation. I'm just going to introduce him a little bit. He provides the gateway for healthcare and disability organisations into the Motability scheme. And having been a beneficiary of the scheme for over 20 years, he says he's evangelical about its benefits and the quality and breadth of choice, support and services it offers. Now seeing this from the inside, he's even more impressed. Well, that's a great advert for it. Prior to joining the Motability last year, he worked as a disability consultant focusing on access and inclusion, having worked within the NHS and Hampshire County Council, and having served on a variety of boards for organisations seeking to enhance the lives of those living with disabilities. It is my great pleasure to invite Ross Smith to join us to Midweek Matters this evening. Thank you, Ross, for joining us.
Wow, what an impressive introduction at 7:30 at night. So really grateful for that, and thank you very much for inviting me and indeed agreeing to attend at this late hour. It has been an immensely busy day, but I'm still full of energy even despite the heat. And oh, am I not? Am I? That better?
No.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Can we just ask everyone else to put themselves on mute, because there's a little bit of feedback. I think that's what you might be hearing. So if you're able to put yourself on mute, that would be great.
So did you hear my introduction? I'm not sure you did or not.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, fantastic. So, yeah, I'm Ross. I started this role at Motability back in November. I have been a clean customer for over 20 years myself. But the first thing I'm going to say to you is I don't actually work for the Motability Foundation. Motability Foundation is a charity. They provide grants and financial support for individuals who are looking to obtain a Motability vehicle and may need some financial assistance in regard to the advance payments, which I'll cover in my presentation. However, I'm unable to talk in great detail about the work that they do, because without boring you too much and sending you to sleep, we are regulated and governed in a very different way. We're we're a member of the Financial Services Authority, which obviously, because we're a leasing company, we have to be. And unfortunately, that means that we're unable to talk about charitable foundations. I won't go into all the details about why that is, but if you do need the Motability Foundation, the best friend, like everything these days, is Google. Please do feel free to Google my colleagues. And yes, we work very closely together, and I'll be happy to do an introduction for people. But that's about as far as I can go on that. So I actually work for Motability Operations, who manage and administer the Motability scheme on behalf of the Motability scheme. So if you're eligible for the disability living allowance at the higher rate of a mobility component, then you'd be eligible for one of our mobility solutions. Or if you're in receipt of the personal independence payment at the enhanced rate of a mobility component, you'd also be eligible. Or in Scotland, I don't know whether we got anybody on the call here this evening from Scotland, but you've got the ADP, which is, I won't talk about in great detail unless people want me to. I don't know much about it, so I'll be honest about that. But basically, it's like the DLA or the PIP version of what we have in the UK, but just obviously is administered slightly differently in Scotland. And obviously, if you're over, if you receive the war pensions element of mobility allowance, you're also eligible. But the one thing I will say, and it was picked up in a talk earlier on, is if you're over 65, you won't be eligible. But if you're currently receiving the benefit when you are 65 and you're currently a customer, that can continue. So that hopefully that clears up any questions around age or eligibility. But quite happy to cover that in more detail if people would like. Right, I'm now going to try and share my screen. It sometimes goes a bit pear-shaped, but we'll hope it doesn't on this occasion. So we go from beginning. Can you see that okay?
Not yet, no.
Okay, I'll give it a few minutes. Okay, do I need to share? We need to share.
Present a view slideshow.
Sorry, 1 second. Is that better?
We can
No,
do
it-
still see you.
Yeah, it doesn't seem, if you press share screen at the bottom of your screen.
I should know this.
On my screen, it's a little green
I get you.
square.
I get you. I know what I've done. I haven't done that, which is a bit crucial to the whole thing working, which is always good. Right. So we're going to go here. No, we're not going to go there. Right. Let's try again. Okay. So now
Yeah.
we're going to go from beginning. I'm going to go this. Present. Okay, so hopefully. Okay, so hopefully that should now work.
Yes.
Sorry for the delay on that one. So what I hope to cover this evening, but obviously we can be flexible, is the following: how the Motability theme works. Aware that some of you will probably know how it works, but I'm going to start from a basis of knowing nothing, but do correct me if that's the wrong thing to do. How it works, who could benefit. I think I've already covered that in my opening gambit, but we can cover that in a bit more detail. And then talk about the benefits of, I called it occupational therapy and the benefit for most people that's around. We have a big mantra at Motability around keeping you as mobile and as independently mobile as possible. So that's what we aim to do by providing Motability and mobility solutions that meet your needs, like any good service would do, I guess, but hopefully we do it better than British Gas. Power wheelchairs and scooters, otherwise known as micromobility. I've never come across that phrase, I have to be honest, before I joined. So I'm a power wheelchair user for context, and yes, the wheelchair, power wheelchairs and scooters is just one service that one solution we can provide. But again, it's personal choice. Everybody is individual, and we know that there's lots of other ways in which you can get a wheelchair. So I'm not saying it's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying it's there for people to have a think about. And then finally, I'll finish this evening and take some questions. But before I do so, I will run a bit of a video. We'll give you a bit of a customer experience, hopefully, of what it's like from a customer standpoint. I can talk about it till I'm blue in the face, but actually, if you hear about it from one of our customers that puts it across far better than I do. So we'll play that at the end of the session. Okay, so in a nutshell, we have 760,000 customers at the moment, and that number, as you can imagine, is growing. And that can be a combination of majority of our customers are obviously looking for vehicles, so that's obviously either standard full focus. I don't want to say standard because all new cars are looking far more technologically advanced than some of the old cars ever were. Or obviously a wheelchair accessible vehicle, otherwise known as a WAV, and I'll cover those in more detail a bit later on. So we're the largest fleet of vehicles in the UK. We're larger than Europe car, just to give you a bit of context. And basically, we're 45% cheaper than any commercial lease that you might be able to obtain on the private market. But the thing that makes us different, I guess, the unique element of what we do, is that we offer lots of different solutions, and we realize that everybody's needs are completely unique and individual. We spend a lot of time with our customers listening and adapting our business model to suit. Obviously, a large part of what we're doing as a business at the moment is helping our customers, both old and new, to understand what the EV transition is going to be like. So that's the electric vehicle transition. Now, electric vehicles aren't for everybody. We fully acknowledge that, but again, it's about giving people choice and control over the way in which they want to look at sending their allowance. And I suppose I would be doing myself a disservice if I didn't say we also offer free charging solution if you choose to take a mobility vehicle with us. I'm going to caveat that by saying there are just a few situations where somebody's wiring in their house might not be compliant, in which case you might be asked to make a full contribution. I've only known of one situation where that being the case. Most scenarios we would offer that free of charge through our partner that we use for that work. We have a great customer service satisfaction rating. Now, normally I wouldn't concentrate on this at all, but I would say to you, if you're considering coming over to Motability, literally, I'm blown away by our customer service colleagues. They do a fantastic job, and I had the privilege of sitting in during my induction on several call listening sessions, and they're just amazing people. We're so lucky to have them, and they will go above and beyond to make sure that if we can't find a solution, that we've at least given you some other options. Right, I'm going to move on. So all I'm going to say here is, why does it matter? It is a choice that people have to administer their Motability allowance through us. Otherwise, you could go and buy privately, which of course some people do that. Sorry, I realised I have a question. My apologies.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't want to stop you in flow. Just going back to your statistics chart, I'm just interested in one of the statistics because it said about measuring the social impact on the customers' lives.
Yes.
And you've quoted a figure there, and I'm just curious as to if you know how that was measured.
I'll be honest, I don't. However, I have a great team that will. So I'm quite happy to go back and ask that question of the people that put these numbers together.
Thank you. That would be really interesting because
I'm
I
not-
think
I'm not
that's
gonna
one of the
try
really
and-
important things, isn't it? To really to be able to measure impact of a service makes a significant difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And we now operate instead of KPIs, we use something internally called OKR, which is objective based performance review targets, and that goes across our whole, or it will be going across our whole business. So that will also include customer retention rates, that type of thing. We know at the moment that there is a huge or larger than I would like rate of people taking an EV, electric vehicle, and deciding it isn't for them. So we're currently obviously working through what some of those issues might be, and some of them are around the charging solution. Public charging is a huge issue for us as an organisation. So we're currently working with several charging partners to look at the best possible solution for making public charges as accessible as possible for individuals. And we also offer, as well as a home charging solution, there's obviously BP Pulse, which some of you might be aware of. It's like a charge card. So we would also be offering a charge card solution for people that would be more appropriate for.
Brilliant. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. Good question. Great question. Any more questions going on this side? No, I'm going to take that silence as an opportunity to move on then. Worth remembering, I don't know if any of you are family, yeah, we're all part of a family, but if you've got children who might be eligible for the scheme, obviously we look at the whole person's situation, in terms of if you do have a child with impairment, then they're eligible for them from the age of 5. Some people don't know that and don't utilize that part of the scheme that well. So that part of our role is to make sure that we promote that a bit better than we do at the moment. I think all of that side kind of speaks for itself in terms of that. How does it work? Customers can obviously lease a vehicle from us, typically on a 3 to 5 year lease. 3-year leases tend to be your normal vehicle, so i.e. Ford Focus. I always use that as a prime example because Ford is one of our largest suppliers, along with Vauxhall and Nissan. So we're the largest buyer of new vehicles anywhere in the UK. And that's because we have a huge customer base, and obviously the whole benefit is that you get a new vehicle that's fully serviced, fully maintained, and everything taken care of, even the insurance. So you can have up to three drivers, nominated drivers, named drivers on direct line policy. But if you require a open policy, that's something else that we can look at on an individual basis. We obviously don't promote that hugely because obviously it increases the what we call the risk profile. So I'm not an expert on insurance, I'll just say that now. But there's loads of people out there that are. But basically, risk profile, basically, we have a huge open policy for the whole program. And obviously, the more people we put on what we call an open policy, just means that our risk profile goes up to a level that is really quite challenging, but not impossible. So we've just done the largest insurance takeover from Royal and Sun Alliance to Direct Line Group. And the reason we've done that is to make it more accessible for our customers. Direct Line offers a great digital solution so that customers are now able to manage their insurance requirements online. So for people that are digitally confident, that's great. But we're fully aware that for some customers, they prefer to pick up the phone. So we have a dedicated team within Direct Line who are Motability trained. They're obviously specially trained by us to make sure that their customer services is as tip-top as it can be, because we obviously pride ourselves on customer services, so it's obviously right proper that our partners have the same ethic and etiquette that we do. So talk about public charging points. I won't bore you about all of that. Less specific requirements for electrification. Okay, so a little bit about what the worry-free package is. It is a worry-free package, and it does do what it says on the tin, and everything listed there, including a large choice of new vehicles from pretty much every manufacturer you could ever think of. I'm sure there's some that aren't on the scene, but we are renewing relationship with suppliers and manufacturers every single day. So even if a vehicle isn't currently on the program, I can bet you bottom dollar we're already having conversations about how we can put it on. So as part of your worry-free package, you clearly get insurance for named drivers, as I've already mentioned, service and maintenance. So most people will live within 5 miles of a dealership. Within that dealership, you'll have a Motability specialist who's specially trained by us to talk you through the application process if you're not confident enough to do that online. But what I would recommend is if you are going to a dealership, if you can start that application online and check your eligibility and take your eligibility, put all your eligibility paperwork online, it just saves you time at the dealership. But our teams within the dealership are there to help and would be very happy to do. So alternatively, obviously you can contact our contact centre and they can answer most questions. Alternatively, we have quite a large list of frequently asked questions on our website. You can do up to 60,000 miles a year, which for most people is way over what most people do. Most of us do 12,000 a year without an impairment, so it's quite a generous allowance. Doing my job, I far exceed that probably, but I cover the whole of the UK. So what was I going to say next? Auto glass for your windscreen replacements, RAC for your breakdown at the moment, and then we also have a great partnership with your car, obviously. So if you're taking your car abroad and you need breakdown cover, that breakdown cover is exactly the same abroad as it is in the UK. You just need a lovely green form. Can't immediately think of the number for it, but if you phone customer services, they they'd be happy to provide that. Yeah, so that's your car. Quick fit for your tyres. Obviously, you've all got a quick fit centre near you, I'd imagine. If you don't, there's also Quick Fit Mobile, which I actually use myself today. Fantastic service that comes out to you at home or at place of work and replaces your tyres. So basically, what I'm trying to say in a nutshell is everything covered within your allowance, which means as a Motability scheme, we heavily subsidise our vehicles so that if you are eligible for the scheme and you would like to take up the offer, there is going to be a vehicle either at zero advance payment. So when I talk about advance payment, that is the amount of money that somebody might need to pay towards a vehicle. But it's fair to say there's a lot of vehicles on the programme at zero advance payment, so that's no advance payment, so no money would change hands, providing you're eligible for the benefit. But obviously, you want to drive around in a nice Audi, which is obviously an option for people, then we'd obviously ask for an advance payment in that situation, or indeed, if you would like a wheelchair accessible vehicle, a lot of those are at zero, but there's obviously some which require a little bit more. But again, that's all listed on the website. All the vehicles that we have available on the scheme at the moment will be on the programme. And I would encourage you, if you were looking to take a vehicle with us, we have what's called One Big Day events, which are literally a huge car show. I took part in one up in Birmingham at the NEC a few weeks ago, first time I've ever been. I never used it as a customer for over 20 years, but I can see the benefit of it. You can basically meet all our adaptation partners, vehicle adaptations, and see the large range of vehicles all under one roof, rather than have to go to individual dealerships, which I know can be quite a time-consuming exercise. If you're looking for wheelchair accessible vehicles, then all of our partners that deal with the wheelchair accessible side of our service offer free home demonstrations. I have another question.
You've got a couple actually, Ross. The exhibition that you were talking about, was it specifically Motability exhibition, or was it within a bigger exhibition?
No, it's specific to us. They're called One Big Day events. And if you go onto our website, you can find out when the nearest one is to you. Unfortunately, they're not everywhere. We tend to go where there's large concentrations of individuals, and the other challenge we have is we obviously like to make sure that the venues are as accessible as it can be.
Yeah.
So one of the criticisms recently has been, why don't we use something like the Excel Centre? And the clear answer in London, and the clear answer is they don't offer the accessibility that a lot of our customers require. So I'm sure that may change, but so for example, we got one in Harrogate. Our next one, I believe, is in Exeter, and then I'm taking part in one in September, which is in Edinburgh. And obviously Birmingham. So, but there's new ones coming up all the time. There's a whole interactive map on the website, so you can click on your area and see where they're near.
Brilliant. I think I'm going to try and see. Like Becky very kindly has given me in the chat the link, and also told us that the Exeter one's this weekend. So I think, because I think these are really, really vital opportunities for people to really try out without all the stress, because you've got it all under one roof. So it would be great. I think we're going to sort of see if we can add, maybe not the extra one, or even we can the extra one, but to our social media, to let everyone around the country know, because it's a fantastic opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, and also you get the opportunity to meet with our converter partners, face to face, and they get the opportunity to answer your questions directly, and you also get to meet lovely people like me who hope to more detailed. Sorry, Emma. Oh, you're on mute.
Yeah. Sorry, that was just not quick enough. I had a actually it's linked to your big day event. We had a communication from someone that went to your last big day event, and they were looking at I believe you call them VAPs, the accessible, is that what you call them?
Oh, wheelchair accessible vehicles.
Yeah, your WAPs.
WAP, yeah.
And there was a conversation. Sorry, if there's noise. One second. Sorry about that. There was a question came up around electric vehicles and WAPs, and the fact that it's difficult to get a vehicle that is an electric vehicle that's a WAP because of where the battery goes, and therefore it's difficult to get those vehicles, and then therefore there isn't as many being made or designed because their companies are being penalised for needing to provide diesel vehicles. I wasn't there. This is a question that had come up, and they asked me to ask you about, and they just felt very discriminated against.
It's a great way, great question, Emma, and it's something I wanted to cover tonight, so I'm glad you've given me the opportunity to do so. It's almost like a pioneer.
Sorry.
No problem at all. So we have what was I going to say? So we are currently in discussions and working with a company called Callum, who did all the James Bond fantastic vehicles that you see on the movies. So we commissioned them to come up with what I'm going to call a conversation piece around electrification for wheelchair accessible vehicles, and we've designed a prototype that we're calling a Vita. You can YouTube it. It got launched 3-4 months ago. It's not going to be, as far as I know, manufactured in its current form. It's literally a conversation piece to get that conversation that you quite rightly raise around location of battery. How do we make electrification for our wheelchair accessible clients more accessible for individuals around not only the vehicle, of course, but I'm going to move it on so you can see a picture. 1 second. So that image that you can see there is the Avita. If you came to any of our big day events, you'd be at one big day event, you'd be able to see it in person. Again, it is a prototype. Who knows? A manufacturer may choose to run with it, but we don't know. But that's mainly looking at the whole family. So, i.e., the wheelchair user in the centre of the vehicle, central wheelchair position, and then you'd obviously have load of luggage and storage space, or indeed additional seating for family members, friends, etc. And we worked with Callum to relocate the battery and make it a really nice vehicle. So the wheelchair user currently accesses the vehicle from the rear of the vehicle, And that we got all of that from feedback. People like that. And actually, the one thing that people really love about this prototype is that it looks like a car. It feels like a car. It looks like a car. It is indeed a car, but we just incorporated the wheelchair user within that vehicle, and you can see it's got a nice glass surroundings. I'm not sure it's my cup of tea in terms of being in that much glass, but we'll see on a hot day. But there's a very good air conditioning. I'm led to believe, so we'll see how that runs. But yeah, by all means, go onto YouTube and have a look at that in more detail. There's obviously a nice marketing video, and obviously I can field any specific questions that might arise from you viewing that.
Thank you so much. That was a very comprehensive answer. There was one more question in the chat from Dean. I wondered if Dean wanted to ask his question.
I am. Yes, thank you. Hello, Ross. Basically what it is, I was wondering if you could possibly be kind enough to explain about the waiting period between the customer ordering their vehicle and the customer collecting the vehicle from the showroom. So I ordered my vehicle, which I just got the last October, which I got last October. I think I ordered that around May or June. But there was a waiting period until I could collect it in October. I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that as to the reason why. I know why, but I just thought I'd give you the opportunity to explain possible the reason for it.
No, that's very kind of you.
Sorry, I don't always support flying the ointment, but I thought it might be.
No, that's what I'm here for. That's what I'm here for. You might not like what I'm about to tell you, but yeah, I can certainly attempt to answer it. So if you're looking for a wheelchair accessible vehicle, I'm going to talk about that because that's what's up in front of me. They tend to be anything up to a year, and most people go, "Oh my God, that's a long time." The reason for that is because, like everything, we are finding it harder and harder to get manufacturers to give us the vehicles at the volume that we want them at the speed that we want them, at the quality we want them. But that said, we have the largest relationship with all the large manufacturers. Obviously, as far as wheelchair accessible vehicles are concerned, they do take quite a long time to adapt. So once we've got the base vehicle, because most people don't realise they don't come fully kitted out, that they then go, the base vehicle will then go to one of our converter partners, and they typically, depending on what other workloads they got, they typically can take up to a year. Now, I'd like to say a lot of that can be cut down, but it really depends on supply and demand in terms of parts and everything else. There is another solution. If you're looking for a quicker solution than that and you want a wheelchair accessible vehicle, we also offer the new program, which is typically a vehicle that's been very low mileage and is 3 years old, but is still fully serviced. Lovely solution. I've just taken one myself. They're fantastic. There isn't a mark on them. There is some marks on second-hand vehicles, I have to say that. And it's like Holder's scene. It's like, I don't want to say like eBay or like Auto Trader, but it is a bit similar to that in terms of you see the picture and you have to take it as read. However, that said, we have literally in the last few weeks now been able to offer at our One Big Day event the opportunity to buy one directly. So that's something that we've never been able to do before. It was literally a kind of see a vehicle on the website and hope it's going to be the right one for you. you will now have the opportunity to have a look at it before you purchase. That goes without saying for all our new vehicles. Obviously, wheelchair accessible side of things, all our partners, I think I've already said this, so apologies, but they all offer a free demonstration at your place of at your home, or indeed your place of work if that's more convenient to your good selves. And as far as a standard hatchback vehicle, so your Ford, your Nissans, your Vauxhalls, then you basically go to your dealership and you order your vehicle of choice. I've just helped an individual friend of mine order one, and because he was very quick with all his paperwork, very efficient, I think he waited a total of about 6 weeks. So to answer your question, if you do all your legwork, you do all your research, you get all your eligible paperwork uploaded onto our website, then or onto the dealership website, then that can all be processed quite quickly. But then it comes down to availability of that vehicle, of that paint type. There's so many factors that go into this.
Yeah.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much, Ross. Thank you for that. Thank you.
Emma.
Ross, I'm just going to jump in with one last question before you carry on. And this is about so you mentioned that there's an option for somebody to come and show you the car at home.
Yeah.
In terms of, and this has happened to me and happened to a few other people that write to us, in terms of collecting the vehicle, it's my understanding that somebody has to, that you have to, the person whose car it is has to be in the showroom to collect the vehicle. And if you can't get yourself to the showroom to collect that vehicle, how does that work? So I had waited a year for my car, over a year actually, and I was changing it because the 3-year lease had come up. So I was able to keep my car, but when it was ready, I was quite ill, so I couldn't get to the showroom. But they couldn't release the car. Somebody else couldn't go and pick the car up, even the named driver on the lease. But the showroom wanted the car gone. Have you heard of that situation before?
That's a really interesting question. I'll tell you why it's interesting. Is because if you're a current clean customer, so you're looking to renew your lease, then I would look to providing you well enough to do so. If I worked in customer services, my solution to that would be get you a taxi to the dealership.
But if I couldn't get to the dealership, because I actually had an infection, I had COVID, so I couldn't come.
Yeah.
And so what happened in my situation was that the dealership had empathy on us and allowed my husband to come pick it up, but he then got fined for doing so.
Oh wow, I'm sorry about that.
No, I mean, I didn't take it, the poor dealership did, but I'm just wondering, as much as there are, in some occasions I have felt that there has been some sort of lack of understanding of a fluctuating condition, or, you know, everything's right when it works, but what happens when you've got anomalies, which often happen in our lives?
Sure, I get it. I have cerebral palsy myself, so that's the first thing to say. I fully get the fluctuating conditions. Used to work for the NHS, so yeah, you're talking to someone that fully gets your question. Like every system, there is a rigid parts to our due diligence, but I'd like to think our dealership colleagues would have been a bit more sympathetic in your situation in terms of allowing you to pick up the car when you were better. There's no rush. All right, they need to find somewhere to store that vehicle, but apart from that, there's no other reason why you should. A customer should never be put under pressure to collect a vehicle on a certain day. The only pressure you're going to get is from the dealership working out where they're going to call that vehicle. Well, sorry, but that's their problem. They get paid quite a lot of money to do a handover, and or reasonable amount of money, so that should really keep Wolf at bay. I'm probably going to say too much here, but basically.
So your advice is to advocate strongly that you will come and collect the car when you're fit and able to do so.
Correct. And
Thank you.
If you have a problem, or anybody has a problem of that nature, then they should get in contact with the contact centre, and we would take that up with the dealership, with our dealerships team, who have the direct relationships with the individual dealers. I was supporting an individual not so long back, friend of mine, who took an electric vehicle from us and had a few issues, let's say, with his local dealership, and they were happily resolved in the end. But sometimes it just takes a little bit of mouth and communication to get these. These people are the people that work for us are human beings, and there is a process to follow. And we all know, don't we, that some people are process people. Other people who work for us in operations, we've chosen them because they're not process people. We try and look at solutions, and that's what we hope our dealership colleagues do. But I can fully appreciate on some occasions we fall short in that regard. My apologies.
Just to say, I'm just aware of the time. We've got 10 minutes left, so I didn't know.
I can whiz through a lot of this. That's all around our wheelchair accessible vehicles, which I think I've covered in quite a lot of detail anyway. Give you some facts and figures. We don't need to run the video. I'd rather use the time to answer any specific questions that you guys might have with the last 10 minutes we got. I'd like to say thank you very much for inviting me again. And I'm very happy to come back and do a future session on Pacifics if people would find that helpful. Alternatively, obviously our website is there to be used. I'm a point of contact. We have a very full team who work with me. So if you want to email, then one of my team will come back to you. Unfortunately, there is only me that does what I do. So I'm in charge of healthcare relationships and disability organisations. Fortunately, at the moment, there is only one of me, so I will try and get round to as many of you as I can. But please bear with.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ross. If I can ask you to stop sharing, and then we can open up the floor for the last few minutes.
No problem at all.
There we go. And I think Dean was the first person with his hand up.
Yes, thank you, Emma. Just to say, just to give clarity to what you've been saying today, Ross. I collected my car in October, my Motability car. It was 25 years since I last had a Motability car, and from the 90s compared to today, compared to the 90s, I found the actual experience, Motability experience of the dealership from dealing with Motability, far really positive experience. And if I've had a problem, I've got a slight fault on my car which will be rectified, people have been very helpful. I mean, in the 90s, they were in Blackpool, all the dealerships, they enjoyed getting the money, but they didn't like dealing with the customers, and they didn't mind letting you know that you're only a Motability customer. But like I'm the Kia dealership and Kia Motability dealership. Our Motability Kia Motability dealership in Blackpool. Very, very good, very professional, make you feel like a VIP. They put you at the centre of the experience, because it's and I honestly can't praise Motability enough for what they're doing now. If your car goes in for a repair, you can ring a taxi company to Motability, through Motability Assist. You can ring this number. Can I have a taxi, please? Go and pick me up from Quick Fit, because, or whatever, or wherever you're going. Because if it's going to be a day long job, takes you back home. The taxi will come back for you, take you back to the dealership. All the cost is covered by Motability, and it as I say, compared to how it used to be, it's so much better. And I feel like I'm valued as well as a Motability customer. Thank you.
That is fantastic to hear, and it's exactly as I would expect. But our colleagues at CMAC, who manage our taxi contract, do try their absolute best. And obviously, it's going back to what I said at the very beginning. We always try and find the best possible solution for our customers. So that means that if a vehicle's in for servicing, or your vehicle's off the road for any reason, then obviously it's our role as part of your lease agreement to make sure we keep you moving and keep you attending your crucial appointments as well.
Yeah, definitely.
That's brilliant. And on that, Julia's asked a question in the chat. She's asked, will they be able to bring the car to her house? Just so you know, I don't have a car at the moment. So I guess if she orders one, would there be able to be a house delivery?
Quite possibly. If it's a standard hatchback vehicle, I think we might be back to the original question that you posed, Emma, around having to be at the dealership. But again, I'd encourage her to ask or phone customer services, and we'd look at individual circumstances at that point. I think if you obviously can attend the dealership, that's the best possible solution. If it's wheelchair accessible vehicles, absolutely, without question, our converter colleague would come out and deliver the vehicle to you at home.
On that question, sorry, can I just interrupt? On that question that Julie was asking, they did it to my neighbour next door. The dealership actually delivered to his house. They actually delivered his car to his house, and they actually did the actual showed in the car at his home as well. They actually did the actual demonstration for everything. So
I do think that there's some discrepancy in that, Dean, because because Motability were very clear with me that they couldn't. So right, maybe that's something you can go back and find out for us, Ross.
Yeah, no problem at all. And I think to answer to just close that loop, I think it's down to individual dealerships as to their capacity and everything else. I'd like to think that if they're able to, they would deliver vehicles. But
okay, because I was told that it was Motability policy, not the dealership. So that was why it'd be really good to have some clarification. Yeah. And Julia, you had your hand back up. Did I miss it?
Yeah, no, I was just going to explain that. It was just in relation to what you said, Emma, about the fact that you weren't able to go and get the car because you weren't well. And that was why I was asking, are they not able to? Because I knew they were able to deliver wheelchair accessible cars, but that seems really unfair that that's only available if you need a wheelchair accessible car.
I think I don't think it's. I think Ross will find out for us what the.
I would take that back because it's a very valid point, and again, I think it comes down to capacity. I would like to think, and yeah, I need to just check that policy because
amazing.
I'm quite right.
Yeah, thank you. And Anna's asked, if you're not completely happy with the car, are you able to swap it?
It comes down to individual needs, and if your needs change during during a period of release, then obviously we can look at replacing a vehicle if it's no longer meeting your needs. If you didn't like the colour of a vehicle, then I think we'd say, well, sorry, you ordered that, and unfortunately you've got to go with it for the period of release. But if it's something to do with your impairment and the vehicle just isn't working, then obviously one of the big benefits of Motability is that we can do that. We'd like to obviously make sure we've properly assessed you so that that doesn't arise, but we realise that people's wheelchairs, people's needs do change over time, and therefore vehicles have to change with you.
And would you say, just following that up with that, your big events, are they the best place to go to, because I often, and lots of people write to me and ask what adaptions are available, and sometimes the dealerships don't know all of the breadth of adaptions that can happen. Is there a place that someone can go and look at all the options that are available? For example, I never used to have something that helped me hold on to get in and out of the car, and I'd been to several different dealerships over the years, and this one very knowledgeable gentleman knew about it from somebody else, and he suggested it, and it was revolutionary for me, but I hadn't known that. Is there a place that you can go and kind of have that assessment?
Yeah, so you want a driving assessment, which I think is what you're talking about, then you can look at an organisation called Driving Ability that we work quite closely with, and they're a group of assessors based all around the UK, and you can basically go and have a full assessment, and then they can feed that report back to us, or back to the dealership before you order your vehicle. I'd like to think that our Motability specialists are located within within dealerships would know that, but if they don't, then and again it's specific to the dealerships, not everyone. Yeah, some dealerships will have expertise in just because that person's come across that situation before, so it's a very much an individual based thing, but we offer our specialist blanket training, which obviously doesn't cover absolutely every eventuality that you might come across. But yeah, driving ability is a good option. And what else was I going to say? Yeah, so it's well worth coming to the one big day events, because it's a bit like Toys R Us when they were in business, everything all under one roof.
That's amazing, thank you, and that's a really good place to finish. I think we've all learned a lot, and thank you so much for coming this evening.